activities. There must be some way to get nourishment and some way to take out wastes. In the smallest cell, therefore, there is an intelligible force going on here. He says, what is that? What is it? Well, we're taught to believe that it's the nucleus. That's the center of the intelligibility. And Virchow says, wait a minute. In the material, that nourishment that came in to sustain the cell, there wasn't a nucleus that came in, wasn't a baby nucleus that came in there. All there was this nurture, this nurturing fluid that came through. So he turns everything he turns everything over, and he says, we think of structure. He said, we think of structure as the important element in a cell. And therefore, since we think of structure, hard things, forms, he said, we miss the truth of the nature of a cell. He says, no, he said, what it really is that life-sustaining stuff that comes into the cell. That's the stuff later that becomes part of the cell wall when it needs to be repaired. That's the stuff that takes on the nucleus. That's the stuff that's therefore is sent around in various places. What sends it around? He says, don't think about the structure of the cell. The fluid that comes in is intelligible. That's the intelligible thing. It just takes on various functions as it's required. That's the vitality. That's the vitality, and that vitality has an intelligibility to it. So much so that in any structure, whether it moves from a cell or an organ, you have a structure that's maintained by a vitality of what flows through it. And since it can repair itself, where is the intelligibility but in the stuff that flows through it? That's what maintains its unity of parts so that it can function for a higher purpose. Well, what is this unity that does this, since it maintains and comes through the cell? Now we shift gears. I believe this is another way of expressing the same thing, because Anaximenes, you see, is saying there is an essence and it's one. And according to whatever form it takes for itself, so it becomes that thing. Whatever that energy that comes into the body, then as it nourishes different things, that stuff itself is intelligible. So therefore, according to the kinds of things it forms itself into, so it becomes the thing it informs. But the stuff itself is homogeneous. The stuff itself is intelligible, and it has a unitary power, an inherent principle in it, which can keep all the parts together so that it functions on a higher level. How does he put this now? Now, all we have is just a few quotes from these people. And the one that I would like to show you and go back to is this one, because in this one, I would say, is the vehicle through which all Greek philosophy emerges. Because we already have the terms, but we need one principle so that we can then apply it rigorously, and we won't have any trouble going further in philosophy because of that. All right, one philosophical tool, as it were. The primary tool for philosophical investigation. Let's see if we can find it together. All right, now we have everything here, so let me take off a bit. What is it that keeps the soul together? Anaximenes says, air. That's the stuff. That's the nurturing stuff that comes to us. And what's interesting in the Greek, and especially you find this in Homer, the word psyche, which is our word for, that's the Greek word for soul, right? Psyche, in its root meaning, means breath. you are alive so long as you have breath. When you lose your last breath, your soul perishes. Well, then the stuff that maintains it is breath, vitality of breath. It's the vitality of breath that then sustains and is the unity of all living things. So Anaximenes says, given the soul, you know what the soul is? Well, what in these functions, the way it functions, the thing that holds it together, the thing that holds it in a unity is breath, or as he calls it, air. The vitality in the air, in breath. That's what holds it together, just as the fluid in the cell is the very vehicle through which sustains and brings into existence all of the diverse elements of a functioning cell. So breath in the soul brings us a vitality through which we can then plan, benefit, and command, because it contains within itself not just right? A particular chemical that we need. There is a vitality to it, and through it there's an intelligibility that can emerge. This is his statement now. As the air holds us together, so too breath and air holds the entire universe together, permeates the universe. That's it. Now, what philosophical tool is this? Well, look at the structure now. Let's see if we can look at the structure, because this becomes the primary tool for all metaphysics and philosophy. The soul, the soul's unity is to air as the universe, right? The universe's unity is to air and breath. Now, what have we discovered here? This is a four-terminology. This is the first expression, direct expression of analogy, because the soul's unity, A, is to be air, as the universe, C, is to air and breath, D. Why, this is what we now call the archetypal analogy. A is to B as C is to D. Once you begin to see that you can make analogies in the universe, once you see that, once you accept that principle, then you have a principle to show parallels, and you show something which is can be simply stated as a structural similarity. That's what you get. You see, if the entire universe has certain properties which can be ordered hierarchically, well, let's put it in a